Imagine having this like super smart coding assistant, right? An AI agent living inside your terminal, ready to tackle complex projects, automate all those tedious tasks, maybe even help you design apps just from a sketch. Well, that future isn't really science fiction anymore. It's actually here now. Today, we're diving deep into Google's new open source AI tool, Gemini CLI. Our mission, really, is to unpack what this command line interface is, how it works in the real world, and importantly, how it's stacked up against other big AI coding tools out there. We want to help you figure out if it's the right fit to, supercharge your workflow. We've pulled insights from the official docs, talked to developers using it, looked at tutorials, trying to get the clearest picture. Oh, and before I really jump in, just a quick note. If you're looking to deepen your understanding of AI, you can grab a discount for the AI course over at rajamanikam.com. Just use the coupon code, that's QITechTeshi.tt for a special.
All right, so we're always looking for ways to get well-informed faster, aren't we? And today's topic seems promising for developers and really anyone curious about.
Google's putting its Gemini models right into our term. What's the core idea behind this CLI? What problem are they?
Well, yeah, at its heart, Gemini CLI is an open source tool, right? From the Google Gemini team. It's designed to bring those powerful Gemini models straight to your terminal, basically acting as this versatile AI agent. The big idea is tackling those friction points developers hit daily. It's great at coding stuff, fixing bugs, spinning up new features, improving test coverage, but it's also a pretty powerful local utility. Think content generation, deep research, all from the command line. And it's built on TypeScript open source under Apache 2.0. So you can actually look at the code, contribute, adapt it, transparency there.
Okay, that makes sense. A solid foundation. But since it lives right there in the terminal, what are the standout features? What makes it really pop for a developer's day-to-day work? What makes it more than just another chatbot window?
Right, and what's impressive is how comprehensive the feature set is. It hits some major pain points. First, large codebase support. This isn't just big files. We're talking about understanding and maybe refactoring a whole legacy system. It supports over 1 million tokens in context. It's huge, enough for pretty much any project you can imagine. Think about making a big change across hundreds of files. This thing can kind of hold the whole project in its head.
1 million tokens. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Then there's multimodal app prototyping, because Gemini is multimodal, right? You can feed it PDFs, design docs, even rough sketches you drew, and it can kickstart an app prototype from that. It reads the visuals and the tags.
Just seriously.
Seriously? And automated DevOps tasks. This is a big one for anyone who hates complex Git commands. It simplifies tricky stuff, Git operations, fetching PRs, planning migrations, handling those awful Git rebases. Instead of you spending an hour untangling branches, Gemini CLI could potentially analyze it, suggest a fix, maybe even run the commands, turning a headache into hopefully a minor thing.
Okay, that would be useful. Less Git push force drama.
Exactly. Then extensive tool integration. It connects with something called MCP, Serverless Model Context Protocol, and other tools. Basically, it can talk to other specialized AIs, maybe image generation like Imagen or video like Veo. It extends beyond just text and code.
Interesting. So it can pull in other skills.
Right. And built-in Google search grounding. This is super important. It has Google search built in, so it can fetch web pages, get real-time context, make sure its answers are up to date for research or fact-checking. A big step up from models stuck on old data. And finally, extensibility. It's designed to be customized. You can add extensions, tweak prompts, plug it into your existing scripts, works interactively or non-interactively.
So let's unpack that for the listener. If you're a developer or maybe managing complex data, what's the practical impact? It really sounds like a big jump in automating and speeding up those daily workflows, especially the tedious stuff. I'm thinking about late-night debugging. Maybe less painful if it can handle complex Git things. No more accidentally nuking my branch, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. That's the promise. The direct terminal integration, these broad capabilities. It points towards a future where more complex multi-step jobs get handled, autonomously by the AI, which means less manual effort, faster development cycles, and hopefully letting developers focus on the bigger picture, the creative stuff, turning hours of grind into, well, maybe just minutes.
Fascinating stuff. So, okay, how easy is it to get this thing running? Is it some complex setup needing an AI degree, or can anyone just jump in and try it out?
It's actually pretty straightforward to get started, which is definitely a plus. First, you just need Node.js, version 18 or later installed on your machine. That's the main prerequisite. Once you've got that, you basically have two main options. You can run it directly without a full install, using npx and pointing it to the GitHub repo, great for a quick try. Or for a more permanent setup, you install it globally with npm. Sudo npm install guild-g at Google Gemini CLI.
Okay, npx for a test drive, npm install for... Got it.
Yep. And the first time you run it, it guides you through a quick setup. Choose a theme, pick a sign-in method. We generally suggest the login with Google option. That gives you a really generous free tier. We're talking up to 60 requests per minute and 1,000 per day.
Hmm.
If you need more, like for enterprise use, you can switch to using an API key from Google AI Studio.
1,000 requests a day for free. That's quite a lot. So once it's set up, authenticated, ready to go, how do you talk to it? Is it just like chatting back and forth, or is there more to it for like deep project work? Does it actually understand my messy code structure?
Yeah, the interaction model is definitely built for productivity. It's conversational, sure, but it's very action-oriented. You give it a task in natural language, like help me fix this bug, and it doesn't just spit back code. It analyzes your request, uses built-in tools like readfile or glob to scan your project files and understand the context. Then it forms a plan, a step-by-step approach, and then it executes that plan. That might mean modifying files using write-file or replace, or running shell commands like npm install, or git status directly in your terminal. It can even verify its own work by running tests or linters afterwards. That's a huge step beyond just getting a code snippet.
Whoa, okay, so it can actually do things, not just suggest them.
Exactly. You can type prompts directly, write a simple calculator in Python. But it also has these really useful / commands, like memory lets you feed it custom rules or coding patterns to follow for your project, kind of like a style guide. Stats checks your token usage, chat saves and resume sessions, compress summarizes the conversation to free up context space. And a really handy one is it triggers file selection, so you can easily point it to local files for context without copy-pasting everything.
That's quite the tool set, especially the direct file access and command execute. But for developers already swimming in AI tools, what's the real difference here? Where does Gemini CLI truly shine? And maybe where does it struggle against established thinking Cursor or even just using Claude's chat?
That's the crucial question, right? Because this space is moving so fast, our sources actually break it down pretty well. Let's start with Gemini CLI itself. Its core strength is being a conversational command line agent. That means direct file system access. Read, write, modify files right in your project. This enables end-to-end automation for complex workflows, talking to build tools, managing dependencies, version control, like we said. It's environment aware. It runs npm install or git status in your actual project. The main weakness: it's less visual than an IDE, obviously, and maybe a bit clunky for really small, quick edits where its whole read, plan, write cycle feels like overkill.
Okay, so it's the agent doing things in the terminal. How about Cursor?
Right, Cursor. Think of it as an AI-first code editor. It's basically a souped-up VS Code fork. Its strength is seamless IDE integration. The AI is right there in your editing flow, not a separate window. It's highly interactive inline edits, immediate visual feedback. It has this ambient awareness of your code, your cursor, what you've selected. Super intuitive for in-context help. The trade-off: it's less designed for those big autonomous multi-step tasks across the whole project. And the AI usually suggests commands for you to run rather than running them itself.
IDE Copilot versus Terminal Agent.
Yeah.
And Claude, the general chat models.
Yeah, Claude or similar web-based chat interfaces.
Yeah.
They are brilliant for brainstorming, learning stuff, getting boilerplate code, or refactoring isolated bits of code, and zero setup needed, right? Works anywhere with a browser. The huge limitation, though, is zero file system S. You're constantly copying and pasting code and context back and forth. That's tedious, prone to errors, especially for complex tasks involving multiple files. It can't check its work in a real environment. It's purely conversational.
That really clarifies the different roles. Gemini CLI as the autonomous terminal agent, Cursor as the integrated IDE Copilot, and Claude as the high-level brainstorming buddy.
Okay, now, the million-dollar question, maybe literally. One source claimed Gemini CLI just killed Claude's $200 murder pricing model because of that free tier. Is this thing really a Claude code killer? Is the pricing that disruptive?
Well, the pricing is fascinating, and it's definitely making waves. Gemini CLI's free tier is, like we said, incredibly generous, 1,000 requests a day using Gemini 2.5 Pro for free. Just for comparison, Claude's paid plans, even the expensive 200-month max plan, offer way fewer requests in a given time frame than Gemini's free offering. So yeah, just looking at usage limits, Google's throwing down the gauntlet with a lot of free power. That's absolutely disruptive pricing.
There's always a but, isn't there? There usually is. User feedback from developers using it. It's pretty mixed right now. While everyone loves that huge context win, some users report Gemini CLI can be slow, like 60 to 90 seconds for seemingly simple requests. Others find it insanely overeager, making way more code changes than they wanted. Or sometimes just kind of dumb compared to Claude Code on really tricky, nuanced coding problems. And there are reports of errors hitting rate limits, service overload issues, which might mean it burns you down from the Pro to the Flash model, where you see errors like resource exhausted or unavailable. So yes, the price is unbeatable. But the product's maturity, its consistency, it seems it's still catching up to what developers get from some paid options like Claude Code. It's powerful, definitely, but maybe still has some growing pains.
Okay, those critiques are pretty important. So despite the amazing free tier, sounds like there might still be good reasons developers pay for Claude or Cursor. Given these real-world bumps, how can you, our listener, actually get the most out of Gemini CLI? And maybe more importantly, how do you avoid some of those early adopter frustrations?
Yeah, understanding its quirks is definitely key to getting value and not tearing your hair out. First, prompt engineering. Seriously, put some effort into writing clear, structured prompts. Don't just toss vague requests at it. Google actually has guides on prompt engineering specifically for Gemini. They're worth checking out to get better results.
Right, garbage in, garbage out still applies.
Absolutely. Second, context management. Use that compressed command regularly to summarize the conversation. This is vital. It frees up token limits so you can keep interacting, and it helps prevent those vague internal errors you might get if the input context just gets way too long for the model to handle.
Keep the context tidy. Makes sense.
Third, understand model performance. The Flash and Pro models have this thinking on by default thing to boost quality, but it adds latency, makes it slower. If speed is your top priority for a task, you can adjust or turn that off. Also, if you hit those unavailable errors because the service is overloaded, maybe try switching temporarily to a lighter model like Gemini 1.5 Flash. It might get you through.
So fiddle with the settings if needed. Okay.
Fourth, be aware of common errors. You don't need to memorize error codes, but know you might hit issues with regional availability, API key permissions, hitting your daily limits, or just server strain causing timeouts. Knowing the type of problem, you fix it faster. And finally, most importantly, code review is critical. Always, always, always review the code it generates or changes. Even though it can modify files directly, users have seen it make a mess or introduce bugs, especially if you let it run wild in what some call YOLO mode, just trusting it completely. A quick git diff before you commit anything can save you so much pain later.
That is incredibly practical. Trust but verify, especially with AI modifying your code base. You know, what's fascinating here is seeing how this intense competition is driving innovation and portability. It's really democratizing access to powerful AI coding tools for a lot more people, even if the tools themselves are still maturing and need, some careful handling. It's clear that critical thinking and a good old git diff are still essential skills, even with these super powerful AI assistants. So we've taken a deep dive into Gemini CLI today, an open source, pretty powerful AI agent right in your terminal. It's impressive for handling huge code bases, automating DevOps. We've looked at practical uses like multimodal prototype, and we've explored how it stacks up against competitors, especially that very tier, acknowledging it still has some real-world kinks. As tools like Gemini CLI keep evolving and weaving themselves into our workflows, maybe think about how quickly they might redefine what will vibe coding, where the AI does the heavy lifting, you guide it, and what new skills become the most valuable in that kind of augmented development. Sure, just something to ponder. And hey, if you were looking to deepen your understanding of AI and get a handle on this rapidly changing, remember you can get that discount for the AI course at rogermanicum.com using the code QPT. That's QET. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.